Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to Team Australia's Cybersecurity Risk Assessment Mitigation Overview. I am Cybersecurity Specialist Christopher Brunner. In this overview, we will introduce the complexities involved in operational security management. We will discuss the foundation of network security, cyber threat attributions, and our current threat mitigation strategies. Managing security operations within an organization is a complex endeavor that requires participation of every staff component the organization has. This includes, but is not limited to, the office staff, the information technology information security teams, department management, and the senior executives. This endeavor involves making ever-evolving risk-based decisions, risk-based assessment, risk mitigations, and risk remediation. The goal of its decision-making process is to balance the benefits gained from the operation and use of these information systems with the risk of the same systems being vehicles through which purposeful attacks, environmental disruptions, or human errors can cause mission or business failure. This level of responsibility often expands to include the synchronization of both national and international policy. There are many steps that go into assessing, mitigating, and remediating the risk to an organization's assets. This includes the evaluation of potential vulnerabilities and threats to those assets, and the impact of threat attack to the organization through those assets. This includes steps needed to mitigate the risk through methods that measure the level of tolerance acceptable to meet organizational mission requirements. This includes testing the state of the organization's network and network devices in order to determine if they meet the established security posture. Common ways to maintain a compliant and effective security posture is to maintain up-to-date network security, access control, authentication, authorization, and security awareness. There are 5 principles known for providing the foundation of network security: layering, limiting, diversity and obscurity, and simplicity. Layering protects through a series of continually complicated defenses that decrease the ability for a successful threat attack. Limiting protects with a series of policies that limit data access to the fewest number of legitimate users. Both diversity and obscurity provide interchangeable methods that continually increase the difficulty of vulnerability exploits. And simplicity provides ease of use for its users and the administrators. This approach relies on the secure configuration of the LAN's router, firewall, switches, and VLAN. The router is a networking device designed to filter out specific types of network traffic in order to discern legitimate from illegitimate transmissions, while the firewall inspects the packets to either accept or deny entry. The LAN switch will send information from one computer to another within the LAN, creating access control protocols that ensure only the intended recipients of data receive that data. It is also used to create VLANs that segment the LAN into subcomponents so as to reduce network traffic and provide a degree of security so that sensitive data is transported only to members of the VLAN. Authenticating users to the network is properly implemented through effective authentication procedures that ensures that the individual is who they claim to be. This is necessary prior to being authorized access to both information systems in the network and network subcomponents. This is done through a variety of methods. However, a multi-tiered or multi-factor authentication approach has been proven to be most successful. This can be a combination of smart cards, passwords, biometrics, etc. These authentication measures are then logged in order to account for the data being accessed. Part of limiting access to data outside the network requires the configuration of a private network, allowing users that are not within the organizational footprint to connect to organizational data. This is done through the use of a VPN. A VPN supports secure remote connections and log-on capabilities to the organization's network and data, in the same way supported locally to the network. A security baseline for the network and its associated information systems provides an effective snapshot of the maintenance of the security posture. Network access controls further provide the enforcement of that baseline by ensuring the requirements are met prior to being able to utilize the network resources. This baseline can include standards for security policies, software installation and management, custom security settings, anti-malware solutions, and system update and patch management. For these methodologies to work, users need to be knowledgeable on the use and the responsibilities inherent for the use of these procedures. Acceptable use policies, privacy policies, and security training is most recommended for that purpose. While there is no way to fully protect a network from threats, mitigating the risk and remediating the vulnerabilities allow a path forward to an effective security posture. This should include effective incident response procedures like intrusion detection and prevention, malware detection and analysis, and digital forensics. Intrusion detection and prevention detects an attack in real time and will immediately react to block a malicious attack. These attacks are logged and can be examined for further mitigation and remediation. Malware detection will examine a computer for any malicious executions, as well as scan for known virus patterns or signatures by threat agents. Digital forensics teams can make use of technologies and methodologies to search a computer that has been compromised or attempt to retrieve information that can be used as evidence in a crime. Cyber attribution is a methodology that recognizes the fact that every kind of cyber operation, malicious or not, leaves a trail. Cybersecurity analysts will use this information to compare the discovered trail with previously recorded operational signatures of known threat agents. This will allow them to trace these operations back to their sources. And determining if any attribution is known for the threat actor or actors most likely involved in exploiting network and system vulnerabilities, we will address attack vectors via information systems hardware, information systems software, operating systems, telecommunications, and some human factors. An effective means to mitigate cyber attribution methodologies is to stay current on the best practices used to do so. An example of this level of mitigation for current common exploits can be found in published best practice updates from the Governing Joint Cybersecurity Advisory Board, vulnerability databases, and published software hardware documentation. Examples of this include threat actors like admin at 338 or APT1 through APT41, that is, 41 different threat actors whose point of origin is China. Their signature attack vector is to compromise user accounts, exploit software vulnerabilities, create malware, exploit various info systems, and the reason for that is to have financial gain, target economic and trade policy, create backdoors, and target for later exploit. We have threat actors like the Ajax security team, whose point of origin is Iran. Their signature attack vector is website defacement and malware. The reason is to target U.S. defense industrial bases, target Iranian users of anti-censorship technologies. Threat actors like the Andariel, whose point of origin is North Korea, uses a signature attack vector, malware. The reason for this is to target South Korean government agencies, military organizations, and various domestic companies, as well as target a variety of financial operations. Threat actors like backdoor diplomacy, whose point of origin is also China, uses its signature attack vectors like telecommunication, backdoor eavesdropping, hardware modification, and the reason is target ministries of foreign affairs, target telecommunication companies that are in Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. We have threat actors like Blue Mockingbird. These are independent criminal organizations whose attack vector relies on Microsoft operating system vulnerabilities. And the reason is to use cryptocurrency mining payloads and dynamic link library forms on Windows systems. They're basically mining cryptocurrency. Then we have the threat actors Costa Rica, whose point of origin is, again, independent criminal organizations. And their attack vector is creating backdoors for future and concurrent use. And the reason is that they're a criminal organization for hire. We have threat actors like the Dark Caracal, whose point of origin is Lebanon, who use Microsoft vulnerabilities to enact state-sponsored attacks. And finally, we have the example of the Mustang Panda. Its point of origin is again China, utilizing Microsoft operating system vulnerabilities, targeting government entities, non-profit, religious, and other non-governmental organizations in the US, Germany, Mongolia, Myanmar, Pakistan, and Vietnam, among others. After discovery of the vulnerability, threat, or impact, recommendations that are based upon proven methodologies can be implemented to mitigate them. Examples include vulnerability exploits, NetScaler directory traversal. The threat is vulnerability to remote code execution and full system compromise due to poor access controls. The impact is critical, and the recommended mitigation is to implement the appropriate refresh build according to the vulnerability details outlined by the vendor, and if possible, limit VPN connectivity. We have the vulnerability exploit Microsoft Exchange memory corruption. It's a remote code execution vulnerability that exists in a Microsoft Exchange software. The impact is high, and the recommended mitigation is to download and install a fixed software version of the software from a vendor-approved resource. We have vulnerability exploit Microsoft Office memory corruption. The threat is that the vulnerability is to the server-side template injection attack. The impact is critical, and the recommended mitigation is security updates that address that particular vulnerability. Mitigating many vulnerabilities can be accomplished through updated software patches. This can also be accomplished by creating temporary vendor mitigations or known vulnerability patches that are available. Applying effective mitigation strategy is critical to lowering the risk of network and network system vulnerabilities. It is recommended that security teams make full use of the resources available that provide the most up-to-date information of both attributions associated with threat agent attack vectors and to prevent them from compromising organizational assets. Again, thank you. I am Cybersecurity Specialist Christopher Brunner. Good night.